Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really powerful idea from Napoleon Hill. It's so much more than just thinking positive. It's a real strategic guide to actually owning your own mind. You know, if you've ever felt like your own thoughts are your biggest obstacle, then this explainer is definitely for you. Let's get right into it.
So let's just start with a super honest question. Have you ever felt like you're literally fighting a battle against yourself, right? You set a goal, you're all excited, and then boom, doubt, fear, all that distraction just comes in and sabotages you from the inside. It's this incredibly frustrating cycle, but what Hill argues is that it's a cycle you can absolutely break.
And that's exactly where Napoleon Hill's work becomes such a game changer. See, he didn't just preach about being positive. He created a concrete step-by-step system for truly mastering your mind. So today, we're going to walk through that system. It's built on a few core pillars. And it all starts with understanding the power you already have.
Okay, so here's Hill's first crucial point. An uncontrolled mind, left to its own devices, will almost always drift toward negativity, fear, and failure. It's kind of like its default setting. The secret, the real magic, is realizing that this exact same mind, once you control it, can become your single most powerful ally. So the first step isn't about learning some brand new skill, it's about tapping into the power that's already there.
And that leads us straight into the first foundational pillar of Hill's entire system, developing what he called creative vision. Now, this isn't some mystical, airy-fairy power that's only for artists or inventors. He saw it as a totally practical skill, the skill of seeing opportunities that other people miss, and, this is the important part, having the guts to actually act on them.
I think this definition is where Hill's work gets so incredibly practical. For him, vision isn't passive. It's not something you're just born with. It's an active, two-part process. First, you recognize a possibility. Second, you take action. And honestly, that second step, the action, is what separates a fleeting daydream from a reality that can change the world.
To build that vision, Hill says we use two different kinds of imagination. First, you've got creative imagination. This feels like that rare flash of lightning, you know? A brand new idea that seems to come from absolutely nowhere. But then there's synthetic imagination. And this one is all about rearranging existing ideas into new combinations. And believe it or not, Hill argues that this is where most real-world innovation actually comes from.
I mean, the story of Edison and the light bulb is the perfect example of this. He didn't just invent it out of thin air. He was a master at connecting dots that were already there. He took a known principle, the electric lamp, and he combined it with a different material, charcoal, which he found could burn for a really, really long time. That is synthetic imagination at its best, connecting old ideas to solve a brand new problem.
So the big question is, how do you get better at this? Well, Hill gives us a handful of stimulants for the imagination. It all has to start with having a crystal clear goal, what he calls a definiteness of purpose. Because think about it, your mind can't find what it isn't looking for. And it also includes things like collaborating with other smart people in what he famously called a mastermind group. These aren't passive feelings. They are active ways you can train your mind to see new combinations everywhere you look.
All right, so having a creative vision is amazing, but you need an engine to actually make it go somewhere. That brings us to Hill's second pillar, organized thought. This is all about the ability to think with absolute precision and clarity, just cutting through all the mental noise and clutter.
And the foundation for this is, well, it's simple, but it is so profound. Are your thoughts built on solid ground, on actual facts, or are they built on shaky ground, like gossip, assumptions, and opinions you haven't checked? Owning your mind means you have to actively choose to build your thinking on a foundation of fact.
So how do you actually do that? You have to become a really strict gatekeeper for your own mind. Hill's rules are straightforward. Question everything. Don't just trust opinions unless you know the facts behind them. Scrutinize advice, even from people you love and trust. This isn't about being cynical. It's about building your life on a foundation of accuracy.
Oh, I absolutely love this analogy from the book. An uncontrolled mind is like a camera that's just wildly snapping pictures of everything. Gossip, ads, useless trivia, all of it. But an organized mind, it knows exactly what it's looking for. It can zoom right past all that noise and focus with perfect clarity on the one piece of information, that one rare bird that actually matters.
And you build this focus through this really powerful loop of controlled habits. It all kicks off with your purpose, that super clear goal. That goal then directs your physical actions, the small things you do every single day. And then finally, you support those actions with mental repetition using affirmations to keep your belief in your motivation running hot.
The story of Penelope opening her bakery just shows this perfectly. Her daily to-do list, that was her physical repetition, one small concrete step at a time. Her daily affirmations, telling herself, I am capable, that was her mental repetition, giving her the fuel to keep going when things inevitably got tough. It's the combination of the doing and the believing that creates unstoppable momentum. Okay, this brings us to the third and final pillar, and it's the one that ties everything together. Hill called it mental dynamite. This is controlled attention, the ability to focus all of your mental and emotional energy, like a laser beam, onto one single definite purpose.
So how do you like this so-called dynamite? Well, it comes down to 5 factors all working together. And it starts, as always, with purpose. That purpose then requires self-discipline to manage your fear and doubt. Then you fix your attention on that purpose, and you use auto-suggestion, which is basically just consciously feeding your mind ideas and possibilities to find solutions. And finally, you apply pure willpower to persist, no matter what.
Let's look at Harold's story for a second. He didn't just sit around and worry about his rent. He turned that worry into a plan. He set a clear goal. Get the money. He controlled his panic. He focused all his attention on finding work. He brainstormed how his skills could help people, and he flat out refused to give up after the first few no's. You see, this isn't just theory. It's a practical formula for overcoming real challenges.
So, let's put it all together now. We've got these 3 pillars, right? Create a vision to see the opportunity, organize thought to create the plan, and controlled attention to execute that plan with laser focus. What does this actually look like when you apply it to a whole life or a whole career? Well, the ultimate example is Andrew Carnegie himself. His big secret wasn't being a genius at a dozen different things. It was applying all of his controlled attention to one single purpose: steal. This idea of specialization, it's the ultimate expression of owning your mind. You choose your field and you go deep. You master it.
And you see this principle everywhere in any successful company. You don't have the marketing expert trying to do the CFO's job. No, you have a team of specialists, and each one is applying controlled, focused attention to their specific area. It just proves that real success almost always comes from focused depth, not from being scattered all over the place.
But here's a really crucial final point on this. What if you realize you're specializing in the wrong thing? Hill is so clear about this. Changing your path is not a waste. The skills you built are transferable. The greatest, the absolute biggest waste of time is continuing to do something that you're not truly passionate about.
And that leads us to the final, really powerful question that Hill leaves us with. This is the ultimate goal of owning your mind: to gain the kind of clarity that lets you answer this question for yourself. Because once you know your definite major purpose, every single part of you, your vision, your thoughts, and your attention, will all align to make it happen.